Good evening. Call the meeting of the East Providence City Council to order tonight on January 27th, 6:30, 6:31. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll of the council?
Councilman Fogarty,
Yeah.
Councilman Lawson,
Yeah.
Council Vice President Rigo,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Souza,
Here.
Council President Rodrick.
Here, the record show, all 5 members are present. Thank you, and please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please start the reading of the agenda?
Executive session. The City Council of East Providence may meet in executive session pursuant to the Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A2. A, review, discussion, and possible vote to ratify collective bargaining agreement with the East Providence Paraprofessionals Association and the East Providence School Department pursuant to Section 10-4 of the East Providence Home Rule Charter. Dr. Susan Ferrand. B, review, discussion, and possible vote to ratify tentative agreements with IBPO number 569 for period of November 1st, 2025 through October 31st, 2029. Solicitor in Chief of Police.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Under Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A2, I move to go into executive session.
Second.
Motion by Council Vice President Rego, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. Go into executive session under Rhode Island general laws. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We will recess in executive session. Be back very quickly. Is there a motion to seal the minutes and reconvene public session?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. We'll read out the information from the executive session when the solicitor returns. He's getting something printed for the council. Madam Clerk, could you resume the reading of the agenda?
Proclamations and presentation, East Providence Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan, informational presentation. This is an opportunity to share preliminary ideas from our consultants and state partners with the city council and public. No votes are necessary or will be taken. The presentation will be led by Quinn Malloy from Tool Design Group and Joshua O'Neill, supervising planner with the Rhode Island Division of Statewide Planning, with an introduction by Director of Planning Keith Brines.
Thank you. Director Brines, you want to come forward with the consultants? Just as a reminder, there may or may not be, depends on the planning department, public hearings down the line. But tonight was intended to give the council a brief presentation. As I understand it, the contract for the consultant pretty much will run out, is it this week? So
Right.
they wouldn't be available.
That's right.
So please continue briefly, please.
Well, thank you. Thanks to the members of the council here. What we have tonight is just a brief presentation on the city's bike and pedestrian master plan that has been put together over the past year and a half or so. As was stated, there's no vote needed. It's just an informational summary here. This was done with a $150,000 grant from statewide planning under their MTAP, Municipal Technical Assistance Program. The program was directly managed by statewide planning. And Tool Design was the lead consultant on this. And yeah, they've done a great job with their partners and reaching out to the public, getting input on what people's wants and needs are here. So I will turn it over to Ms. Malloy. You can walk us through this here.
Thank you. And just for the record, identify yourself and your firm. Thank you.
If I could introduce myself real quick too before Quinn gets going. I'm Josh O'Neill. I'm with the Rhode Island Division of Statewide Planning. We are the state agency that helped fund this, the Municipal Technical Assistance Program that Keith just talked about. That's a program that we do through our agency that provides planning assistance to the municipalities. And what we try to encourage are plans that support active transportation planning that are in alignment with the state's long-range transportation plan. Our agency is in charge of the state's long-range transportation plan. We have to update it every 4 years through federal law. And we do that in partnership with the Rhode Island DOT's planning office and with RIPTA's planning office. And our long-range planning goals, we try to have those inculcated and in alignment with local municipal planning efforts. So we try to do local plans that support our state long-range transportation plan. We chose the city of East Providence for this planning effort because of all the great infrastructure that the city has for biking and for walking. You have one of the best bike assets in the state with the East Bay Bike Path. You also have the 10-mile River Greenway and, of course, the new possible connections with the Henderson Bridge. So we'll see some of that in the presentation here today and what we analyzed with our consultant Tool Design Group, and as well as the feedback that we garnered through public workshops and outreach events that we did in East Providence the last year and a half. Some great outreach events down at Riverside with the Witches Parade and Festival, and then some of the music events that went on this summer. So we were really happy to support this effort. It was great working with the city, seeing some of the folks who are here tonight who came out to some of our workshops and public involvement events. So I'm happy to answer any questions after this, but I'll give it to Quinn to do the presentation. And thank you again for giving us some time here tonight.
Thank you. Welcome to the city.
Thank you. 2 intros. Lucky me.
I am Dr. Quinn Malloy. I am a road doctor. Probably haven't met one of those before. I'm a transportation geographer. I work for Tool Design. And I'm going to tell you about your bike plan, your bike ped plan. If you want to go to the next slide. So, an overview, we started this at the beginning of the summer in 2024. It's been about a year and a half. We have a couple phases here: analysis, engagement, prioritization, recommendations. We targeted a draft of the plan at the end of 2025, which we did meet. But this has been a long process. This is a data driven effort, this is a community driven effort. In no way are these unique ideas to me. These are just ideas that came from your community and the data that represents your community. I am a humble conduit to the needs of the people of East Providence and their ideas. So it has all come together into this plan, which you will have by the end of the week. Next slide. So, what did people say? One thing we did was we released a survey and we asked people in town. We had hundreds of responses to our survey. What do you want from this bike plan? Do you want to walk and bike more? Yes, that was an overwhelming response. 97% of responses were people who are interested in walking and biking more. There are very few negative responses to this plan. People are very passionate about being able to walk and bike. I think that the circumstances in East Providence over the past couple years, transportation affordability, congestion, have led people to look for more transportation diversity. And that did come out in a lot of the comments that we saw. Next slide. So what do people see as barriers to walking and biking? On the left there, we have that blue series that's walking barriers. It's vehicle traffic. Vehicle traffic is what makes people feel unsafe when they're walking. Second, in all of those categories can be summed up as a lack of high quality maintained walking facilities, sidewalks, crosswalks, roads. The same for biking. So biking also, the largest barrier is vehicle traffic making people feel unsafe, wanting to have a little bit of separation between modes, and then not having enough bike lanes or bike facilities into neighborhoods. So that's really what people are looking for and what people said that they're interested in. Next slide. Here are some quotes. I'm not going to read them all out loud to you, but people looking for crosswalk signage, speed management, people who are worried about their children, people who want raised crosswalks, new infrastructure, flashing lights, people who want schools to be accessible, people who are interested in bus stops that are walkable, all things that people brought up again and again. So the vehicle traffic being kind of the thing that they want to avoid. They want to be able to comfortably walk, to comfortably bike without feeling unsafe from cars. Next slide. What else? Another big theme was sidewalk quality and connectivity. I did look at many miles of roads in East Providence, and there are obviously these little gaps all over the place, these little pieces that don't connect. That can be a pretty big problem when it comes to vulnerable populations, older people, people in wheelchairs, children who have to go out into the road or onto someone's yard, creating a conflict point. So that is one of our main recommendations, is kind of closing up these gaps. There are unclear crossing points. How do I get across this street? Again, when you're thinking about children, middle school age children, people who are walking, in general, you want to make sure that there's a clear path to get across the road. Parking on sidewalks is a big one that can be mitigated, but that is an issue in this town. A lot of people parking in places that were intended to be sidewalks that are now used as informal parking. Sidewalk condition, overall, I think sidewalk blockages was the one that came up the most, particularly for people who have mobility limitations. So people who use wheelchairs. We did speak to someone who's a disability advocate who said that the sidewalk blockages being the utility poles in town are a huge issue for them. So a lot to work with there, a lot of things that can be improved. Next slide. Our short-term recommendations, this is a little bit difficult to see. On the right is kind of a broken down look at what we're interested in. And on the left, there's a zoom in on what we're calling the pedestrian priority areas. So for pedestrian priority, we're recommending that you start with the areas around schools and you just make sure that the sidewalks are complete in those areas, that there are crosswalks where there need to be crosswalks, that it makes complete sense from every parcel to connect to the school and back, that children could do that on their own without supervision if that was what their family was interested in. The second phase of that would be transit stops. So making sure that you have full sidewalk connectivity between those areas. We have larger capital projects that have been proposed, those dark blue lines on the left, for pedestrians, places where you would want to have a hardened crossing, maybe a pedestrian refuge island is what we call it, but would need further study. Those roads are most often owned by the state and would require some sort of STIP interaction. On the right, we have our more bike-oriented projects. The main thrust here of those is making sure that people have access to the phenomenal bike facilities that you already have. Rarely did we hear from people who were not interested in getting to the bike path easier. A lot of people, a lot of comments, a lot of people that we talk to have problems crossing Veterans Memorial. They have problems getting from their neighborhood to the bike path. So we want to get people off the bike path into town, spending their money at local businesses, and we want people who live in local neighborhoods to be able to get to the bike path with their families, no problem. So that was kind of the main goal there. We have a couple of projects that, in the short term, that can be done. One area that you might see up here, there are only 2 ways to get between Rumford and the rest of the town. It's north Broadway or Pawtucket. So one of those has to be safe for bikes. Ideally both. So in the short term, we do have that recommendation. And then most of our other short-term recommendations are what we're going to call neighborhood greenways. So we'll get into that in a little bit more detail. Another type of project we have on here is called long-term start now projects. So Pawtucket Ave, treacherous for bikes, certainly. Could be something that we think about in the future. We'd like to see some sort of side path or separated path that people can use. But that's a really long-term project. That's a state-owned road. It's a big deal. Start it now. Many people asked for it. People want that to move forward. It is an unsafe road currently for people walking and biking. It's going to take like 10 years to do. So long-term, start now. Next slide. Do a couple highlight projects here, highlighted projects. One we have that I think you all anticipated being in here is the First Street connection, the coveted First Street connection. I cannot tell you how many people came up to me and said, well, of course, First Street. And then started to tell me about their other issues with walking and biking in town. But this was at one of the meetings. 16 different people mentioned First Street as a connection that they'd like to see. People had a lot to say about that. In the comments of the survey, there was a lot to say about that. One thing when you're designing bike infrastructure is you want to be efficient with your time and your money. It's not cheap to build bikeways. In 1 block, 2 blocks of separated bikeway unlocks many dozens of opportunities for people, of miles of opportunities for people. So that connection is our priority in this plan. Making that connection, making sure that people can take the bike path up into Providence, and people from Providence can take it down. Most requested, very efficient, and I think that making sure that people have different commuter options to get into the city has been proven to be very important in recent years. Next slide. So this is a piece of it. We did talk to the mayor about this. One portion of it will close and become a one-way. We have, since this draft slide was submitted, changed the direction of the traffic. So traffic will come from Warren Ave and can travel down First Street in one direction. The other lane will close and will be a separated bike facility. We've talked to the mayor about that second section of First Street. He said that there's some communication with the power company about acquiring some right of way on that parcel, so you will not need to close the second block to traffic. So it's just this section right here. And this was highly requested, currently pretty unsafe for people, and poses a barrier specifically if you want people to have autonomy, people who are less comfortable in the street biking, children, people who want to be able to bike to school and to work. That is the number one thing that we want to think about, that path. Next slide. Veterans Memorial. Obviously, this one's a little bit tricky. We've identified 3 spots that we think would be ideal for crossing points. Here's some quotes. I think I recommend you read through them all privately, but people are not able to comfortably get across the road. Currently, there's no crossing points, but that doesn't mean that people don't cross. People are crossing, they're just not crossing in a way that's safe. So we have people running across the road, we have people waiting for, someone says here 10 minutes before they turned around, and it keeps people from getting to one of your biggest assets in the community. So 3 points that we've identified to make this crossing a little bit better. This is something that we've talked to RIDOT about. They're willing to do some trial products. They have a toolkit that can be used for demonstration products or projects, which means that you try something out for a little bit with temporary materials. So that is something that we recommend. Next slide. Here is what one of them looks like. This is at Mercer Street. Doesn't change too much, just hardens the intersection, makes it a little bit clearer where traffic is turning. And then you have a crosswalk that can be accessed there. So tiny little bit of shared use path that connects it around the parking lot, but pretty straightforward. 3 of these would be ideal. Next slide. The last sort of item that we have to talk about here is neighborhood greenways. This is that concept for a lot of roads, it doesn't make sense to have a fully separated bike path. It's really hard to get a bike path or a bike lane on a road where it doesn't make sense to people. People feel frustrated by that space being taken, but what we can do is create something called a neighborhood greenway. There's a bunch of different names for this type of street, but really it's the concept of a street that's so safe that it doesn't necessarily need anything like that. So the traffic is slow, it's a calm street where people can share the space across modes. There's lots of different ways to build something like this. There's no one way to do it. It's however you feel it meets the needs of your community. I'll show you a couple examples. Next slide. What they should have, usually we see some sort of shared lane marking. This is a much more, this is a high coverage lane in terms of paint, but you can use a lot less. Daylighting, which is, if you see these flower baskets at the end, it's to create a space where people can't park right at the edge of the road so that you can more clearly see when people are trying to cross. So making sure that there's clear crossing area that's protected from being blocked by traffic. Traffic calming when we slow traffic. I like to see speed humps. A lot of people like to see speed humps. But there's lots of different ways that you can do this. You can calm traffic in a number of different ways. We finding that signage that helps people know that this is a neighborhood greenway, and then removing the center lines. So taking out those stripes can help slow traffic and make people understand that this is a shared space. Next slide. Some more examples. The one on the left, that's a temporary installment. So they had a temporary mini roundabout to slow traffic. And then on the right, you can see there's some wayfinding. There's a signage or on-street signage. And I think in the distance, there is a speed hump. Next slide. And a similar thing here, right? So a bunch of different ways to do it, no one way to do it, but identifying the street as being a shared space where all different modes are allowed and are present. It can take a number of different forms. Next slide. And again, more examples. Who doesn't love more examples? But that is it. A couple more recommendations that we have. Not all of our recommendations are infrastructure based. One is to establish a bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee. These have been very successful in other places. Providence had a bike ped advisory committee before it was turned into a different type of committee. The towns of Aquidneck Island have a bike ped advisory committee that they're standing up. Very popular. And really this just helps keep things moving, making sure that someone is taking the plan and moving it forward, that it has passion for it. When Keith is bogged down looking at zoning variants, when you guys have your city councils, we have someone else who's keeping the plan in mind. So that is one of our recommendations. We have many people here who are supporting the bike ped plan, who would all be phenomenal members of the bike ped advisory committee that we've met through our work here. Next slide. Another recommendation that we have is the Wampanoag Trail reclassification. We did interviews with people in town who said that they were nervous crossing Wampanoag Trail on foot, which I agree. I don't think anyone should be crossing Wampanoag Trail on foot, but they are. People are crossing Wampanoag Trail on foot, and that's probably an inappropriate uh, road for that sort of activity, but something that is being done. In order to have safe pedestrian crossings, it needs to be reclassified from a freeway to an arterial, something more like Veterans Memorial. This is something that lots of people asked for. On one side of the road, we have RIPTA stops. If RIPTA stops there, people will continue to try to cross the road. So in order to open up some of the real estate there and to be in line with some of the new land uses, we have new developments over there. You have baseball fields, you have all sorts of really residential urban land uses that are not compatible with a freeway. There's a fatality on Wampanoag Trail, someone biking, people walk and bike on Wampanoag Trail. In order to move it towards a road that is safer for people, we'd like to reclassify it. And we've talked to the DOA about that. Next slide.
Something real quick on this?
Yep.
Just for your awareness, my agency, the Division of Statewide Planning, we are actually in charge of that process for the functional reclassification of roadways. We do that in coordination with RIPTA, and that usually happens a few years after there's a census update. That update was a little slower this time from the 2020 census, so we've begun working on that in 2024. So it'd be right around this time where RIDOT and my agency starts to look at the reclassification of roads based on population patterns, development growth within the last census to this census. So when we were working on this project, that was something that really came to mind, was that southern end coming down Wampanoag Trail going towards Barrington, the fact that it didn't really make sense anymore to be like a freeway design, and it really is the kind of roadway that begins to transition more into a principal arterial. So we don't think it's classified correctly today, and we really want to take a look at that. So it's in the plan, and it's something that my agency is kind of in charge of. So just so you're aware that we do that and where that came from.
Through the chair. Can I ask him something?
Councilman, yes.
Could I ask you something, sir? How long ago were you involved with the island outside of Bayview, Bradley Hospital design?
No,
comes
no,
down.
I'm not really involved in like design with RIDOT, like
Okay.
engineering. We're kind of higher level. We're involved in the State Transportation Improvement Program process, where we look at the projects and how they get allocated within the 10-year plan. And we work with RIDOT's planning office primarily for that process. But like project specific stuff, I'm not too in the weeds on that. Every now and then we are, but not very often.
So do you know how long that would have taken to design such a thing? 10 years is
It varies
is the
widely
ballpark.
by project, but typically from getting into the STIP, getting selected, programmed, designed and engineered. I mean, you're probably looking at 7 to 10 year process.
You know what I'm talking about on that?
I was not involved in that specific, so
No, do you know the area I'm talking about though?
not that project.
You know where Bayview High School is?
I know what
on-
high school is. Yeah.
So when you come down Tuckett Avenue, Bullocks Point towards Rumford area on the right, that's the island I'm talking about.
He's talking about right at the top of Veterans Memorial Parkway.
Yeah.
You know where that is? Bradley Hospital.
Yeah, right across the street from Bradley Hospital.
Bradley Hospital.
Okay, so 7 to 10 years is about right.
If you have a project idea that isn't already programmed and you're kind of fleshing it out, and then you put it in and you get it selected, it's about that long. I was involved in a major Main Street corridor project when I was a town planner. Formerly, I was a town planner for the town of Cumberland many years ago. And we did a Main Street project, Broad Street in Pawtucket, Central Falls, and Cumberland. And from the beginning to getting it programmed, to getting it designed and built and constructed was roughly a 10-year process.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. It's a tricky spot. Certainly something that came up during our conversations. Next slide. All right. Well, I think that about brings us home. I do want to say that this is a great community. People are very passionate about this. I talked to a lot of people who moved here because of the bike path. Not a inconsequential number of people said we moved here because of the bike path. So I think you have an asset, a series of assets, and I think you have a lot of passionate people who would love to see some of these ideas moved forward. And I thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions. Do you want to check the next slide just in case?
I have one question, please.
Yep.
Um, about a year or 2 years ago, we had a developer, Keith knows, that came in Wampanoag Trail is what had me thinking about this. You have you or the gentleman from the state can answer this. The traffic studies, like when they were done, the one on Wampanoag Trail was so outdated. I mean, and then this developer came in and they had their own, but obviously when you hire somebody, they're going to be a little different. Do you know when the last time Pawtucket Avenue, Newport Avenue, all the main thoroughfares in the state, I mean, and excuse me, in the city that the state has done the traffic studies on?
Traffic studies are difficult to come by. We did not use traffic study data. When we made our recommendations, we did it based on the federal guidance for bikeways and what type of facility is appropriate from a safety perspective to build on that type of road.
But the more information we have,
I
the
know.
better off
I
we'd
don't have
be,
the
right?
traffic
So
studies.
the state, do you have any, like, is there a requirement every 5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
There's no requirement. That doesn't come out of my agency. RIDOT handles that. They do like safety audits and they look at specific corridors. I think the funding primarily goes through the traffic tribunal. There's planners involved in that office that actually work with municipalities to do those types of studies. I know there was one done on a project I worked on from the state when we were looking at some stuff in the Port of Providence, where they had done a safety audit of Allen's Avenue. So I don't think there's like a regular selection of projects for that, but I think there's regular funding that RIDOT has, and they work with communities to do safety audits. So we don't have like a specific bundle of safety audits that we have in our office that we work with when we do these studies. Primarily, we do work with RIDOT to collect their crash data. We look at the GIS data that they have. And if there are specific studies that we're aware of, we bring those into these types of projects.
Thank you.
Keith, I have a question for you. So tonight we have a summary of information. So what, as a city council, what is the next step to us? Is there going to be a formal recommendation? Is there going to be, will there be another public hearing for some final input? Just where are we going from this?
Well, the plan should be completed in about a week or so. We can pass that on to the city council. We can have that on our website. Are these usually adopted by the city council? If
Yeah,
it-
one thing I should have said in my intro was these projects are for the benefit of the communities. So we don't, with this money, even though we're giving, we're hiring a consultant, we're giving the money to the community to do these projects. We're not, forcing the community to do anything. It's really up to the timetable that works for the community. So we recommend that you guys adopt this. You can do that through a resolution. It doesn't necessarily have to be part of the comprehensive plan or anything like that. But, as an advisory document, and specifically as a long range planning document, we give these to the communities for long range planning. We don't anticipate that things will get going within the first year, but we do try to identify projects that can happen quickly within partnership with RIDOT. As Quinn mentioned, they have a new program where they can actually go out and do some testing of project ideas like the crossing on Veterans Memorial Parkway. They actually can stand that up pretty quickly as like a quick build, kind of like a pilot project to see if it improves safety or not. And then the city can decide from there if they want to do a bigger project or program something for funding through the state process, through the STIP.
So there was funding for the consultant study, which we pretty much have, and I guess we're going to get the final plan later this week. Okay, beyond that is, if we adopt certain parts of it, is there funding for any of these
Yeah,
projects?
there is a funding strategy that's part of the plan. So if you look through it, they'll list all the federal grant programs that are available that are managed by the state primarily through Rhode Island DOT. Although sometimes there are federal grants that municipalities can apply for just by themselves. But most of these programs go through the federal government and then are administered by RIDOT. We identify the types of projects we're recommending in the plan and what funding streams get attached to them. And then we have timelines for each project, and we would advocate for the town to think about where that would go into a request to the state as part of the state transportation improvement program. But again, it's your plan. It's a long-range planning document. You implement it as you see fit. There aren't any strings, attached to this. We are trying to get the municipality to do active transportation planning and to incorporate active transportation planning into other ongoing planning efforts.
So basically, now it's up to the administration with Keith to decide where we move forward on this plan. And then also, obviously, the key, as you just mentioned, are the federal and state grants to get these projects rolling. So, has there been any discussion with the mayor and the administration, either Keith or Andre can answer this, where we are, what the mayor likes and maybe what the mayor doesn't like, and what's point A, and where are we going to go with this?
I mean, the mayor's very much in support of this endeavor. And, as it goes forward, a lot of it is like Josh said, looking for the grant opportunities or other ways to actually implement it. Because like any plan, a lot of plans are a list of recommendations. If you add them all up, it's, millions of dollars. So then it's finding out how you can step by step actually implement these. And, there are different federal programs like the Safe Streets for All program, which has implementation grants where hopefully some of this can be done through that or just through the state's normal process. But yeah, that would be the next step. And if the council does adopt the plan too, of course, it doesn't mean that you're locked in and you must do this stuff. It's sort of a guide forward.
Through the chair.
Yes, Councilwoman Souza.
So just to clarify in what you're just saying, has your department or have you applied for any grants as of today, or do you have any federal grants or state grants as of today that would fund any part of this proposed plan?
No, we haven't received any.
Have you
through this.
applied?
We haven't applied for any implementation yet. With Safe Streets for All that I mentioned, there's another funding round, maybe a year from now, which could go to one of these efforts here. But we haven't actually applied for the implementation yet.
Through the chair.
Yes, Councilman Fogarty.
I love the idea. I hope the financing could be there. Great presentation. Family of bikers. So to bring it forward to this level is definitely good for the community, I believe. So thank you for your efforts, and I hope it happens. But my main concern is safety. I don't feel safe on a lot of these streets. I mentioned you one. I'm on Merritt Road, right after that island. That I don't agree with anything they did with that 7, 8, 10 years ago. So safety's main concern for me as a biker, with kids that hang around with me as bikers, and we load them up to go to a safe spot. So I would love to have safe spots to drive the bike in East Providence. Thank you.
I said this 4 years ago before I was on this council. There was a question asked, and one of the things is having young kids that are grown up and now older kids, but older kids who still participate in marathons and Ironman races. They're on the road all the time, and it gets a little hairy, and scary out there that things happen. Are we going to get to how long do you think this takes for us to get this fully in place? Like one of the issues about connecting Rumford to the Parkway. I mean, Broadway is probably the easiest, but both ways, but Broadway is the quickest fix because it gets you to the Parkway, and then from there you're on the bike path and you can get down into Riverside. So realistically, from a planning standpoint, are we talking 2 years, 4 years, 6 years? And I'm not going to obviously hold you to it,
Yeah.
but I'm glad we're finally 4 years later and we're making this type of progress.
Yeah, I think it depends on the nature of the specific project. If things are on local roads where the city is in control of what we do there, it can be easier to actually go ahead and implement it. when you're looking at the bigger projects on state roads like Pawtucket Avenue, as Josh said, that can, take the longest of going through that state process and getting the millions in funding to do some of these larger projects here.
If we go back to the project slide where there's the timeline, short term we've identified as being 0 to 5 years. These, in terms of what they end up looking.
Could you use the mic, please? Thank you. That's okay.
In terms of what, one forward, couple forward. Yeah. So the blue lines there, I know it's a little bit difficult to see. The blue lines are the short term. Those are mostly on local roads. Our goal was to create a really tight network on mostly local roads that could be made safe pretty quickly with cheap solutions. So you could install some temporary speed humps, see how they work, see if that works for you. You could do some minor stuff to these roads to create neighborhood greenways. There are a couple, like North Broadway, where you would need to have some sort of fixed facility, ideally, but could be done relatively easily. You don't even need to do a parking utilization study on North Broadway, in my opinion. There's not a lot of parking on that street. But really making sure that there's a baseline network that can be accomplished in the next 5 years. That's what the blue network is. Everything else is a little bit longer, 5 to 10 plus. But that blue network ideally could be done to some degree, relatively cheaply in the short term. That was our goal.
I'm happy you have the speed bumps because this council has been a fan of speed bumps, but we have been pushed back by the DPW director as well as the fire chief. And you can understand their points, but places like Providence and everywhere else has them. And I think that is definitely a way for us to get going. I'm glad it brought a smile to my face that they're in there.
They were brought up by people. I would say there's not just one way to do it. So if the DPW does have something that you need to negotiate with, there are different ways. Some people have temporary speed humps that are taken out in the winter for maintenance right before storms. No one's speeding in Providence right now, that's for sure. So definitely something that you can consider in some negotiation. I've done something I've looked into. It's called a snowplow rodeo, and you can experiment with different types of snowplows. Some of them automatically go over speed humps, and some of them snowplow operators do like kind of a trial. But there are lots of different ways to deal with snow. It's your DPW though, so what works for them is what works for them.
Thank you. So to wrap up, just to go back to my question in terms of the process from here. So the consultant's report will be completed this week. You'll give that to the East Providence officials, to Keith in planning. And then Keith, you in turn will meet with the administration and then finalize some final recommendations to the council. At some point, I'm not putting down a timetable or anything, but is that what we're looking for?
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think from a planning perspective and for grant applications, I think you probably have a little bit more bang for the buck if the plan is adopted by a resolution of the city council. They can say that they are supportive of this plan, and therefore that, when the city applies for grants for specific projects, we can always look back to that resolution saying that, this has been supported by the city council.
Could we, to raise funds, have a contest? What gets done first, the Washington Bridge or some of this?
That could be a
And
good fundraiser.
Good idea.
Possibly sell raffle tickets or something.
I like it.
Councilman Lawson, your light was on. Did you want to add anything before we wrap up? You good? No, the mic light. You're good. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Put my light. Madam Clerk, could you continue, please?
Consent calendar for discussion and possible vote. Council journals, regular meeting minutes, January 6, 2026.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. So,
Licenses for discussion and
No, it's a
possible
one
vote.
day.
A motion to bundle non-public hearing licenses.
is there a motion to bundle?
So moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman Lawson to bundle license applications. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the license as bundled.
Second.
Motion to approve the licenses that were bundled, seconded by Councilman Lawson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have.
Look forward to the coffee club that's coming in.
Yes,
Coffee bar.
sounds good. Before we go any further, for maybe those who were here waiting, Solicitor, would you read out the votes of the executive session?
Sure. In the executive session, the city council met to discuss and vote on the two collective bargaining agreements. One was with the teachers, paraprofessional groups that was approved by the city council on a vote of 5-0. The collective bargaining agreement or tentative agreements proposed with the IBPPO 569 was also approved by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, continue.
Public hearing, type of license, new liquor license, Class B victualling.
Mr. President, in compliance with Rhode Island General Laws 3614-6, I hereby recuse myself for participation in discussion or taking official action in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President.
I'll make a motion to approve pending public hearing.
Let's let him. So as the councilman recuses himself due to his business, Councilman Lawson has made a motion to approve, and this would be pending. We open it up to a public hearing. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Souza. First, of any questions of the council?
Just say I get introduced to hot pot from a coworker at Brown. It's fun. It's good and it's fun.
Sounds good. Sounds interesting. So I'll open it up to public hearing. Is there anyone present who'd like to speak for or against this license? Yes, just come forward and identify yourself for the record. Name and address. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Ertzikoff. I'm an attorney. I actually represent K Hot Pot
Okay,
and Barbecue, and I have my friend James here.
welcome.
We're available for anybody who has any questions. I agree with the councilman that it is fun. It's a good time. I think it's something that East Providence and the surrounding areas will enjoy. It's in a great plaza, and it, I think will bring a lot of energy to the city.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Here for anybody who wants to ask any questions of James.
Any question of the business owner, the attorney while they're here?
No.
No, hearing none. Thank you for coming forward. Close the public hearing at this time. We do have the motion in second already on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have that.
Good luck and
4-0.
welcome.
Good luck.
Thank you. As Council Vice President returns, next item, Madam Clerk.
Public comment, Sam Archer.
Hi, just name and address for the record.
Sam Archer, 184 Walnut Street.
Welcome.
Thank you. I guess I'd really want to thank you all for such a positive reception to the bike and pedestrian plan. I'm really, learning about the process involved in local politics and getting to know you guys. And, I appreciate how receptive you are and how you seem to be able to really appreciate the big picture of what this is. It's about community being, walkable and accessible, right, for people of all ages, people of all abilities. And where we can clearly see that there are some places that it is not that, we can also see the path to get there together. So, from me to you, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, I hope that you will adopt a resolution, in support of this. There's also something called a Safe Streets Action Plan, which was mentioned earlier. I got to read, the plan that was prepared for East Providence. I think that, you'll also really appreciate the big picture and the details that are in there. And I think that, at least in those regards, in terms of transportation planning and how we get around safely, into the future, in many respects, what I saw is that we're in good hands. We have good plans for these things. You know, it's gonna make it possible for everybody to get around all the different ways that we want to get around. And I think that that's really good. So thank you guys.
Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it, Sam.
Yes, thank you very much for that input.
Next person.
Council members, A, request to add a rodent control specialist to the staffing at Department of Public Works. Councilman Lawson.
Councilman Lawson.
So I got to meet with Andre and Dan last week, and I mentioned to them we get enough calls regarding pest rodent issues that I think it's prudent that our DPW staff have a specialist. There is precedent in other communities, Warwick, Cranston, Andre mentioned Providence. Have somebody that has that special ability that they can bait traps and stuff. I'm getting calls from residents that, as you know, when you disturb the earth or any kind of development, things move around. Habitats from predator animals to rodents and stuff. And when they end up in somebody's backyard, it's really not fair for a homeowner to have to pay $400 or $500 to bring in an exterminator. So I made the request. I'll follow up to see. I know they're busy with the storm and stuff, but I had mentioned it during the budget process about adding DPW positions that didn't go, but I think it is something that it's worth looking at. How that works, whether it's just appointing a current employee and giving them some training, or if we have to look at adding a position, I don't know. I'll let the administration look at that. But I think especially, we got a lot of development in the works or about to happen with Medicom and stuff that I think it'd be proactive if this council, requested that we add a rodent control to our DPW staff.
I looked into Cranston and Warwick, and Warwick has 3. Cranston might have 3 also, but they at least have 2. And they're fully trained and certified, just like if you were working for, the Big Blue or Griggs and Brown. So it isn't just like we get somebody who can go and put a trap and put some spray or anything. So we need that, especially this all came about when there was another situation, in front of us, and we were also getting calls, this summer about, the rodent situation with construction and so those 2 cities, they have their own rodent control department inside DPW. So I think if we want to move this city forward, we do that. And the past council and this council, we did add positions to DPW. So this would be a perfect time to do that, as well as to lobby for animal control, and they go hand in hand together, and an increase there. And we've talked about that in the past, but to do it right, I think we're at the point where we need that in our city.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, it's certainly definitely something to look into budgeting as we get into the next process. Good points with the development that we have in the forefront. Next item.
B, update of stop sign on Ferris and David Street. Council Vice President Rego.
Council Vice President.
Andre, there's going to be a lot of questions for you since you're the only one here representing the administration, and Mike can answer this one. We passed this ordinance September, October, maybe it was November, but we've done this a while ago, and the driving by, the stop sign's still not up, and obviously the stop sign's not going to go up for anytime soon since we got that nice pile of white stuff in front of us. So I really need an answer for my constituents.
So, Vice President Rigo, well, members of the East Providence City Council, I'm Andre Herrera, Director of Policy and Constituent Services for Mayor Bob De Silva. I checked in with our DPW Director, Dan Borges, and he said he just needs the final placement of where to put it, and it's ready to be placed. So I can connect with you after this meeting, and we can get that installed right away.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I want to add as an aside, we mentioned that Andre is the only person here from administration. And tonight, unfortunately, there is a ceremony going on with I believe it's at the high school. It's at East Providence High School with the annual East Providence Police promotions. And there are several high-level promotions being made tonight. And the other routine promotions, normally this council would attend. Unfortunately, it fell on the same evening as a meeting that we had. So I'm sure I speak for all of the council, and I say we send our congratulations and best wishes to all of the promotions occurring tonight at the East Providence Police Department, and I think at the highest of levels also they're being made. So we just unfortunately could not be there, but we certainly have 100% support behind our police department. And so, Andre, you have to take all of the bobs that we might throw towards the administration. And thank you, Councilman Rigo, for bringing that up. Next item.
C, update on construction of East Providence Community Center. Council Vice President Rigo.
Okay, Andre, again, I'd just like to have an update as far as where we are with this project. Are we still on time for the October ribbon cutting? And I know we have to deal with the opera funding and everything.
Yes, I spoke to the project manager and the consultants today, and they assured me that the project is currently on time to have the building occupied after October 31st, 2026.
Okay.
I spoke with Dominic. He confirmed that everything's good. There's no hiccups, and barring weather, things should move, and then we'll finally have a rec center.
I got a question for you, Mr. President, or for the solicitor. We only took one initial vote to authorize this. We've taken votes afterwards because, with the money, right? So there's only one vote ever taken on the 10 or 12 million dollars that we were going to use. There's votes since then that we authorized, the purchase of steel, et cetera, like that. Am I correct or am I wrong?
You voted, you did take a couple of votes to authorize the spending of the money, allocated a certain amount. That was way back when we got the opera funds.
Yep.
In between, while we were waiting for the guaranteed maximum price to be provided by the contractor, there were a couple things that we needed because we didn't have that guaranteed maximum price yet. So that was for the steel, I believe, and maybe for some site work, I believe, but I know definitely for the steel. There was a vote for that. Then you voted for a resolution adopting the guaranteed maximum price as set by the consultant, which then allowed them to award the contracts as long as they were within that total maximized guaranteed price. That helps them meet the timeline, and they were only authorized to spend money up to that guaranteed maximum price. So that's the final vote that you took, which allowed them to move forward. That's why you're not seeing votes coming back here, because those guaranteed maximum price was already approved by that resolution, and that was made
Right.
clear to the council when we did.
There's a ceiling, so they can't.
Exactly. So I forget what the guaranteed maximum price is,
Right.
but it has to be under that amount.
But the one initial vote was for the total price, and that won't
We only
change
took one initial price.
for that.
You took one vote to allocate APRA,
Right.
and you took some votes to allocate steel, And then whatever was left over, they came back with a guaranteed maximum price. That was a separate resolution that outlined what the guaranteed maximum price for each division, meaning site work, building, interior, and it was all laid out in the resolution. And that authorized the administration on consultation with the contractor to award contracts as long as they met those guaranteed maximum prices. So it's basically a cap. They can't spend more than what you authorize, and that's where that was the benefit of the guaranteed maximum price, because as you remember, we were concerned, and the council was concerned that this has to be substantially completed by October 31st of this year to get so we don't have to give back the opera funds. So
Thank you.
I hope that clarifies that.
Next item.
D, status of Rumford Little League Challenger Program, Kimberly N. Rockfield. Council Vice President Rigo.
Andre, again, with Dan not being here, you know if there's been a meeting set up between the president of Rumford Little League and Dan? Because I haven't heard of anything, and
Well, I
again,
spoke
I like
to.
I like to be part of that. So
Understood. I spoke to Director Dan Borges and Parks Department. The last I heard was that they are waiting for everything to dry. I know this has been particularly challenging with the winter weather, but I will get the details of a meeting to you after this meeting.
okay, yeah. I just I'd like to have the pre-meeting so we know from point A to point Z where we are, and so that there's no surprises for everybody, and everybody's on the same page with the league and everything. So
And I
was
think,
hoping that we'd get a meeting scheduled.
I have to check with the Parks Department. They were going to reach out, so I'm.
If we can get that meeting scheduled,
Sure.
because before long it will be March, and
I think, unfortunately, with this snow and the cold weather means the snow's going to be around for a while, and there's more storms predicted. So hopefully, the league and everyone will understand that, that plan was very aggressive. And, it may not all get done, but I think the important parts that you brought up will get done and should get done. But it's going to take a little while whenever weather's involved, and that's one of several leagues in the city all wanting to be ready for that opening day. But we'll get at it.
And Andre, we townies don't mind getting our hands dirty. So if DPW needs staffing assistance, just let us know, and you'll have the bodies there.
All right, appreciate that, Councilman.
Yep.
Thank you. Next item.
E, Narragansett Community Choice Electricity Aggregation. Council Vice President Rigo.
I should have called earlier. Or when the first draft came up. Narragansett is just one of the platforms of a town that we use. But Andre, we introduced this at one of your first meetings here, as you know, and again, Dan started talking about reaching out to some companies. This is an important aspect of legislation that we can help with the high electric rates. So do you know where we stand on this? I mean, Narragansett is probably the best community right now in the state of Rhode Island to utilize this. So do you know where we are with any of these consultants and these companies that would oversee it?
For this matter in particular, I spoke to Director Borges, and he said he wishes he was here to give you an update on that, but they will provide you an update shortly. He does have an update, and he wants to talk to you after.
Madam Clerk, can you just add this to the next week's meeting so that you can give Director Borges notice that he'll be here next Tuesday to give us the update on that? Thank you.
Council Vice President, I did coincidentally was at a Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns function this afternoon, and I did speak with the director about information regarding such programs. He did indicate to me that the league is actually in negotiations with potential providers. Right now, the city actually participates in an electric aggregation program. There's a municipal aggregation program that's sponsored by the league, or at least was put forward by the league, that we can join. They're in the process, and again, I haven't spoken to them, but the league is also in the process of trying to now expand that for residential customers. And I asked him how long he thought he was out for that. And he indicated that, maybe 6 months out before they get all the final paperwork done, or at least the bids. There's a whole process that they have to go to. And he indicated that the technology is pretty amazing of what you can use and how you can log into these programs. The question is, do you automatically opt into the program like they do in Providence, or you opt out, or you have to opt out? But there are different things. So I just wanted to give you that. And I asked him for some information
Yeah.
once he gets a little closer
Yeah,
to it.
I
But he
mean-
thought they were at least 6 months out before they can offer it to municipalities, to residential customers.
Yeah, I mean, there's all different things as far as the opt-in, the opt-out.
Correct.
I mean, and as I've mentioned before, is Brookline, Massachusetts is one, and Brookline also has gone to the point of using a lot of green energy along with this. But Brookline's been probably about 30 years now. They were like one of the first, and it gives everybody the opt-in, opt-out, and they're definitely one to follow.
So the league may have some. I actually was talking to him because I wanted to know if they had like a sample request for proposal that we could send out. Because if we do this on our own, we would have to send it out for bid and have people come in and make presentations to us, and the council would have to award that bid depending upon what. So, but I guess the short answer is that the league is working on it, and I defer to Mr. Borges as to what he was doing. So, but it looks like it's something that the state is looking for through the league.
That's good.
Next item.
F.
I assume it's also Council Vice President Rego.
Yes. Request for information, planning, zoning, building departments related to the number of applications for accessory dwelling units, ADUs, received by the city after passage of zoning ordinance allowing ADU on parcels of 5,000 square feet or larger. Council Vice President Rego.
Yes, sir.
Do you have an answer for me?
Yes, Vice President Rigo, we have had 12 applications since 2024 and 10 last year in 2025. So we're seeing increasing demand, but it's still relatively new legislation.
That's correct. Now, we also obviously need to advertise that it's 5,000 square foot, and the other question is with the zoning office, are we also promoting? Because we all know that we need to continue to build. Have we also let people know that they can take a possible one-family home and make it into a duplex apartment and everything? Is there a way of doing this so that people know that this city is user-friendly to help with this housing crisis?
Yeah, I'm going to talk to the planning department, see what kind of notices we can do, and how we can better inform the public that this exists on the books here in East Providence.
Thank you.
Next item.
G, conditions of Newport Avenue. Council Vice President Rego.
Andre, again, this is just a follow up with Director Borges isn't here, but not this snowstorm that just happened, but the one that we had a couple of weeks ago beforehand. The state, when they were filling Newport Avenue, they did not use the coal patch to fill the holes into Newport Avenue. What they used was like the dry asphalt that like the liquid. They used the liquid asphalt, which is great if it was 90 degrees out, but doing that. And then what happened was when the plow driver came down, it just ripped it up, and all of Newport Avenue, all the liquid asphalt got moved onto sidewalks and everything. And Director Borges is aware of it because I took pictures. So this was a follow up because the business owners on Newport Avenue have been, complaining about the debris all over Newport Avenue. Do you have anything that he might have given you on that?
I'm not 100% up to speed on this particular issue, but I did speak with Director Borges, and he said he has been in communication with RIDOT, and will provide you a more extensive update at the next council meeting.
Thank you.
Next item.
Odor complaints from the Buckland Point plant. Council Vice President Rego.
Again, I know you're representing Dan. He's had some long days, so don't expect him here. But this is becoming an increasing problem up along Campbell Avenue. But it's gotten to the point now where people living near St. Margaret's and further down on Pawtucket Avenue, the smell of that plant, which is not run by the city, is very noticeable at times. I get the calls, and I don't know if Dan was able to give you some information. I guess Dan told me at one time that they were doing some construction there. So, do you have any further updates on where they are over there with this project?
Yes, we spoke to Narragansett Bay Commission, and they gave us a couple of sources that residents could reach out to. So if they had any questions, they can contact. I can get this over to you. Email to nbcpr@narrabay.com. And there's also, you can reach out to them through their website contact form. They are taking note of all the odor complaints, and any odor complaints that we receive, we make sure we forward it over to their manager that they have in charge overseeing these complaints. They're recording them, and so they encourage people to reach out to Narragansett Bay to document these complaints. So you can send them to us, or you can send them directly to Narragansett Bay.
Could you email me that Narragansett Bay email address so I can provide it to the residents?
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Ward 2 Roundtable Talk monthly meetings. Councilwoman Souza.
Thank you. So this is something that I wanted to start. I had done this previously during my seat here as the Ward 2 councilwoman, and with all of the different things going on in the cities, community residents being more active and involved in a lot of the things that the city has been doing over the last few years. I think it'd be nice to have a monthly gathering to discuss things that are happening in Ward 2 or in the city abroad. So all are welcome, including my fellow council members. I do want this put on the agenda again for next week. So I could provide a more tentative date for the February meeting and the location for all who are interested. It will be posted on the City Council Facebook webpage, Facebook account, and on the city calendar once that date has been given at our next council meeting.
Great, good
Piggyback on
idea.
that, February 23rd will be our next Ward 4 Town Hall meeting with me, Bob, Jess from school committee, and our state reps that represent Riverside.
Any help you need, Councilwoman? I'm glad to lend a hand. Thank you. Next item.
J, littering and dog waste ordinance and enforcement. Councilwoman Souza.
Thank you. So a messy situation to be talking about, but I think important. It has been brought to my attention, and I'm sure others have heard, the waste that is being left on public ways or in public parks has grown more than it has in the past. And I don't know if that's for a lack of manners or respect of the community and those that use those parks and people's property, or if we're just having a huge influx of dogs in the community that are doing more walking. Nonetheless, I think it's important to make all residents aware that we do have a city ordinance on file that does speak to properly removing waste from your animal if you are walking on any public street or in any public park, and those are finable offenses. So anybody who witnesses that taking place or has it on camera, we know that
everybody has a Ring camera or some type of surveillance around their properties, along with our public buildings also have cameras, schools, City Hall. So it's not that we can't see who is perpetrating these problems, and we certainly aren't in the business of wanting to go out and find people for this, but it's more of a respectful, hey, you're a dog owner, your responsibility is to pick up their waste, and not leave it in the public walkways or at playgrounds. And that was where one of the things that had happened, other than a resident reaching out with multiple documented videos spanning, a few months of the same person with the same, animal defecating at the same location on their property. So it is really a courtesy, and being a good neighbor and a community member to, in addition to picking up your dog waste, littering, right? If you see it, pick it up. It might not be yours. And I think I've had this discussion in the springtime when a lot of people use our city parks, that it is all our responsibility to keep our city clean and sanitary. And it does come down to a huge health problem when you have all of that waste in public areas, especially in our schools. So just a friendly reminder that it is a fine, a monetary fine, first, second, third offense after warnings, and that if somebody sees it, it can be reported to our dog control officers, and they have been out monitoring these things. So please do your part and pick it up. I know there's an occasional I forgot my bag situation, or I ran out of bags. We've all been guilty of that, including myself. But, it's not the exception, it's the routine behavior that needs to be corrected. So I appreciate, us working together to get rid of that.
Do a small business plug. Dexter Patterson down in Riverside has a small business called Clean Leash. It's a little thing you clip. It's a bag that has the waste bags right in. So, yeah. Yep. So just a little small business plug for a Riverside resident.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next item.
K, speed calming measures for multiple area along Moran Avenue and Juniper Street. Councilwoman Souza. Thank you. So this is more of a request for our DPW. We do have our speed flashing monitors that we have throughout the city that will flash to identify what the speed is that people are coming down the road. Juniper and Moran are a very busy areas, especially with Juniper being a very long street next to a school and cutting through major thoroughways. In the center of the city, it has been increasingly unsafe for the students walking to school in that area, along with other residents who are pedestrians or cyclists in that area getting to restaurants or shops in the center of the city. So I would request that we put up in multiple areas the speed signs, so that we can have people that are driving be aware. That's one of the calming measures that I think have been useful in the city. Until such time that the administration can come up with some other speed calming measures that I know the council has provided suggestions. We had a great presentation today that also provided some suggestions. So if we could have that done, that would be great. If there are any at the yard available, or I'm not sure if they need to order more. I'm sure Dan could give an update on that once he's been made aware.
Thank you.
L, update on consultant report and plans to address ongoing pedestrian crossing signal devices issues. Councilwoman Souza. So Andre, if you wouldn't mind. So this actually comes at a good time. We just had the presentation regarding the city's desire and enthusiasm to have a more robust pedestrian and cycling environment in our city. And I know for years, we've been on the council, myself included, been talking about what are we doing, how can we improve the things that we do have control over. So maybe a year ago, I had persistently brought this conversation up during a council meeting, and a consultant was acquired to look over all of our crosswalks, pedestrian signaling devices, what was working, what wasn't working, and I recall your predecessor, one of the last things that she said to this council was that there was a finalized report and that there were recommendations that were made, but I myself have not received that report or recommendations. I can't speak for the rest of the council, but I know that there are still, again, areas in the center of the city that are school bus pickups, crosswalks that students take to get to their school, crossing over Warren Ave, which we know is a very busy thoroughway in the city, that do not have functioning pedestrian lights and are a huge safety risk for our young students in the community.
Councilwoman Souza, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. I spoke to DPW Director Dan Borges and the Superintendent of Highway, and they are getting a price on the lighting improvements, and adding it. We're looking into adding it to capital improvements as a project, and I'll check on that report and see where that is, and get that over to you, and as well as get some price updates on the lighting and what it would cost and how we can implement it moving forward.
Okay, and those are for the pedestrian lights, correct? The crosswalks?
Specifically, I believe so. I have to double check with DPW director. He has those specifics.
Okay, and then do we know if we could get an update on any of the state controlled roads that also have non-functioning? Because that was part of the whole plan, was also to address those that are on state controlled roads.
Our highway superintendent has an update on that we can get over to you in detail for the next council meeting.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I know that also, and I don't know if we've ever looked into it, it's more of a European thing, but there is paint that you can use on crosswalks that glow at night or have reflectors, so it makes it highly visible for vehicles to see, because sometimes you don't even know there's a crosswalk, right? The city is very inconsistent with where we have crosswalks that are marked and where people actually cross, but they're not marked. So I don't know, I'm assuming that this consultant may or may not have identified areas throughout the city that could use a crosswalk that don't currently have a painted crosswalk. But I think in high traffic areas with vehicles and pedestrians, that looking into a simple painting of a neon fluorescent light that at night, especially in the winter times when it is darker sooner, that people would feel safer. I think that was a word that was used repeatedly during the presentation. People want to feel safer, and doing these little things can make people feel a lot safer. Thank you so much. So if we could just add that to the agenda again for next week for an update from the DPW, that would be great.
Thank you. Sure thing. Next.
M, parking conditions on Dover Avenue at the intersection with Warren Avenue and recommendations for improvements. Councilman Fogarty.
Yes, I believe there's an ordinance coming for this.
You want to vote on it now?
Yeah, I would. So this is a safety issue for coming off Warren Avenue, both sides. Any emergency, any vehicles coming, it's not wide enough, and it's parking at the end. It's disturbing for anybody, especially anything to do with safety. So we have it in place. We can vote on it if you'd like. Move it right up.
Sure. If you want to at this time, I believe it's on bottom of page 7 on the agenda, at least on the items that I printed out. It might be a different page, but it is, Madam Clerk, if you want to read the heading of the ordinance, number 2.
Far enough back.
An ordinance and amendment of Chapter 18 of the revised ordinance of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended, entitled Vehicles and Traffic. Section 1, Section 18-307, entitled Parking Prohibited at All Times, of Article 10, entitled Stopping, Standing, and Parking of Chapter 8 of the revised ordinance of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, is amended by adding thereto the following: Dover Avenue West Side from Warren Avenue southerly for 215 feet. Section 2, Section 18-307, entitled Parking Prohibited at All Times, of Article 10, entitled Stopping, Standing, and Parking of Chapter 18 of the revised ordinances of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, is amended to read as follows: Dover Avenue, East Side, from Warren Avenue southerly for 100 feet, introduced by Councilman Fogarty.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fogarty to approve, seconded by Council Vice President Rego, also Councilman Lawson. And I would just add that I talked with Director Borges, and he is highly in favor of this, that it is a very good improvement to safety at that intersection. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you, Councilman. First passage, yes, correct. So we'll be on again next meeting.
No.
Okay,
Second.
second meeting in February. Thank you. Next item.
And discussion on City Hall security, Council President Rodrick.
I just want to open up a discussion. I'll probably name a small subcommittee. If anyone on the council wants to join in, let me know, and I'll meet with members of the administration, probably Director of Technology Zambrano should be involved. I think we've all been concerned through the years about security here at City Hall with the entrance. It really is different than a lot of public buildings. You can kind of come in. We don't really have a check-in process per se, and you can then make your way to any of the floors in the building. And, you know, with the events that happened recently at Brown University and throughout the land, we all know that there's a heightened concern for safety and security for the public and the workers here at City Hall. I mean, at almost any time, you can just walk in the front door and go right into the elevator, go into any of the floors, or walk throughout the building. So I don't have an ironclad plan in mind, but I think it would at least be prudent to start a conversation about an increased security for this building. I think that all of the schools now are pretty much done what they have to do. Just about every school, there may be one spot, but just about every school has a vestibule, if you will. When you walk in, you have no access to the building. You are in sort of a sealed area. You have to be identified. You have to be buzzed in. It's still not foolproof. Someone could burst through and break down windows, and nothing is foolproof, but at least it stopped most potential trouble. We don't really have that here at the seat of government. It's City Hall. So I'll put together a little group, and any of you that want to join, let me know, Andre, and we'll talk with the mayor's office. And I think the solicitor and I chatted briefly about this. He's in agreement. We should do something and make this safer for the community. That's all. I'll put something together for everyone. Thank you. Next item.
Conservation Commission update, Councilman Lawson.
All right. So the Conservation Commission, they finished up their 2025 annual report. I want to take a moment to thank every member. It's a volunteer group, and They're the ones that go out there, take care of all our wooded areas and public space. Well, not so much parks, but they do get involved with parks. Anyway, I just want to breeze through this. East Providence Conservation Commission is responsible for promoting and developing the city's natural resources, protecting its watershed resources, and preserving the natural aesthetic areas, open spaces, woodlands, fields, streams, and recreational areas within the city. Some of the things they do is they conduct routine maintenance of the various trail systems in the city. They inspect the rough cut new trail at Grassy Plains. They got the walking track, but then there's also a little path they're cutting throughout the woods. They do city-sponsored Earth Day, Beach Day Earth Day cleanups. They kind of focus near the Boyden Heights area, mainly because most other areas, other groups jump on already. Monthly hugs at Hunts Mills. Every weekend, I think, every other, Ernie leads people through the trails, Hunts Mills. It's pretty cool because Hunts Mills is about 0.8 mile loop, but then if you cross the street, Turner Reservoir adds another, I think, 1.8 miles. So you can get like a good 3 mile hike right here in East Providence. Let's see. Water sealing the stairway and raised walkway at the beginning of the Hunts Mills Trail. Providing comments to Rhode Island Scenic Highway Board, as you noticed, the roundabout issue, they wrote a letter too. So if groups concerned about various things that deal with, intruding upon conservation areas, they'll do a letter of support after looking at the issue. They applied for and obtained CRMC permitting for the repair of the wetlands boardwalk at the Boyden Heights Conservation Area. Working on access trail, Kettle Point Pier in the adjacent park, from the bike path to the pier where Miss Skipper is. We're going to be doing some nice work in there. We want the path to be ADA compliant. As you know, now it's just dirt and rock. But there's also room there for a nice public area too, right off the bike path. And that wraps it up. I'm going to post this on our social media page. And again, these folks are great. I did start a preliminary talk with Andre about the Conservation Commission and the Veterans Advisory Commission are getting our own page on the city website. So Matt's working on some things. They're kind of revamping the site now. And so I think that will be an added value. Social media, if you don't see it and a day later, it's gone. Whereas if these places had a static page, like the trails, how many people know where to go to look to see where you can go hike in East Providence? Because you can. So those are some things in the works. And again, I want to thank all those volunteers. They give up their free time, not only for a meeting, but they're out there blazing trails and doing, keeping up this work. So I'm very grateful for them. And that's the report.
Very good. Thanks. Next.
Public hearings, ordinance for second and final passage for discussion and possible vote. 1, an ordinance and amendment of Chapter 8 of the revised ordinances of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amendment to Section 8-31B regarding repealing holiday sales licenses, introduced by Council Vice President Rigo.
Yes, sir.
Again, this is second passage. This will make us be in compliance with the state, where there's no need for any businesses to come here for a special holiday license.
Is that a motion?
And motion, that is a motion.
Is there a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Anyone here that would like to speak?
Just let it be known that there's nobody here.
Yeah.
We got the Director of Policy,
why-
Director of Finance,
Yeah.
and our Sergeant of Arms.
Which,
Well, we have the technician there. She might want to have a comment on something to say.
She goes without
This was a
saying.
live feed that people could like raise their hand and interact virtually. I'm sure there would be more interaction.
Which you bring up a good point. We've mentioned Andre is here, but with most other department heads at the police ceremony, we want to also thank Finance Director Glenda Delgado, who's been here as well for the night. So I'll close the public hearing. Hearing no comments, we do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Council Vice President Rego made that motion. Thank you.
New business, Mayor Communications, Director of Policy and Constituent Services, Andre Herrera.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Good evening, City Council. Couple items. We have the appointment of Philip Terrell to the Planning Board for a 5-year term effective January 16th, 2026.
You want to vote as you go along?
Yeah, we need.
Or do you want to just read it all and then we'll vote? Totally up to you.
It's good.
I couldn't read them both and
Sure. Let's move it along.
Have your preference.
And the reappointment of Maria Lucci Stoddard to the Board of Assessment Review for a 6-year term effective December 17th, 2025 to December 16th, 2031.
These require council confirmation.
I'll make a motion to approve Phil to the planning board. For the viewers at home, Phil's a realtor. He's a Riverside resident. He's been a staple of the community for decades. And I think he'll be a strong asset on the planning board.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Council Vice President.
I'd like to make a motion on reappointment of Maria Lucy Stoddard to the Board of Assessments. I think it's critical to have somebody with her knowledge of real estate to be on there with the dynamics of the market being changed all the time. So I think it's important that we have, and we also have some stability in that board. So I move the reappointment of Maria Lucy Stoddard.
Motion by Council Vice President Rego, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next item.
That's all for Mayor.
That's all for you. Number two, there are no appointments, reappointments not requiring. Madam Clerk, you want to continue? Looks like number three, there is nothing. You want to go?
Resolutions for discussion and possible vote. No, he already read that. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Oh, I didn't.
G, resolutions for discussion and possible vote. Number one, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter in a proposal with Bill Lizotte, Architectural Glass and Aluminum Inc. for the replacement of the exterior windows at Weaver Library, sponsored by Council Vice President Rego.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza and second by, was it Councilman Lawson? Did I hear? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next item.
Number two, resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase a LRAD speaker, long-range acoustic device for the police department, sponsored by Council President Rodrick.
The grant that's involved that will provide the police and the community at large with a large speaker system loud enough to be used at public gatherings. They feel there's a need for that now, and it's grant funded.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fogarty and Councilwoman Souza to approve, seconded by Council Vice President Rego. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. And Madam Clerk, next item.
E, introduction of ordinances for discussion and possible vote. An ordinance amendment of Chapter 16 of Revised Ordinance of the City of East Providence, Rhode Island, 1998, as amended, entitled Taxation, adding Article 11, Exemption for Live Workspace Deed Restricted Properties, introduced by Council Vice President Rigo.
Yes, sir. Do you want to comment on it or you need
Yeah.
to?
Yeah, just briefly bring everybody.
Pretty
up to date.
perfunctory.
Yeah.
Where
mean-
are these located? These deed restricted live workspaces.
Well, we have the one across the street.
Okay.
And then moving forward so that we can, there's potential as you.
Okay. So this is a proactive.
This is,
Okay.
this is
sure.
very proactive.
I didn't know if there was already existing
No, I mean,
ones. Okay.
hope keep your fingers crossed as you let me know, as everybody, might know, the cross building got sold.
Yes.
And so there's a possibility there and everything. So this makes it attractive to developers to come in and also people who want to purchase them. So that there's a rate for commercial/residential. So I think we're just being, again, proactive. And I'd rather see more redevelopment of existing property than knocking down trees and everything like that.
Reach into the choir, buddy.
Thank you. So that's the,
That's a motion.
move.
Do you need a second? I'll second if.
Second by Councilman Lawson. Is this first passage? Yes, for first passage. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Does that bring us to
Adjournment.
adjournment?
When do we need items in by for next week?
Tomorrow.
Like tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
You know,
Yes.
we the clerk's office sent out a bunch of show cause letters for errant license holders. We intend to have that show cause hearing on February 3rd. I don't know how many people will not comply by that date, but we could have, how many letters we sent out? At least 11 letters. So we could potentially have 11 show cause hearings. So
When were the letters sent?
last week.
Is that enough time? 2 weeks for
Yes.
them to get?
I mean, this is like
They should have been done November, right?
correct.
Okay.
We've been sending them emails and whatnot, but now
It's not the first
it's
contact.
not the first contact with us. Correct.
No
So,
problem.
you
Just wanted to make
advise-
sure because you know people.
I'm advising you in a respectful way to
have it
perhaps
right.
keep the late agenda because we might have 11 show cause hearings. I mean, I don't.
If there is anything pressing, I don't want to mention any names, but 7 or 8 items would not be good next week. I didn't mention any names. I'm not looking at anyone in particular, but
I went 4 meetings without anything, so I just lumped them all
It's
together.
a new year.
Make a motion to
I didn't
adjourn.
say him.
Second.
Motion to adjourn set by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilwoman Souza, who's telling us to just get this thing going and adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.